So, wir fangen an mit 30 Minuten. Möglicherweise gibt es dann nochmal 30 Minuten, also es ist eine Stunde, wer weiß. Legidi. This all happens in an instant, but it plays a crucial role in your habits because every action is preceded by prediction. Life feels reactive, but it is actually predictive. All day long you are making your best guess of how to act given what you have just seen and what has worked for you in the past. You are endlessly predicting what will happen in the next moment. Our behavior is heavily dependent on these predictions. Put another way, our behavior is heavily dependent on how we interpret the events that happen to us, not necessarily the objective reality of the events themselves. Two people can look at the same cigarette, and one feels the urge to smoke while the other is repulsed by the smell. The same cue can spark a good habit or a bad habit, depending on your prediction. The cause of your habit is actually the prediction that precedes them. These predictions lead to feelings, which is how we typically describe a craving. A feeling, a desire, an urge. Feelings and emotions transform the cues we perceive and the predictions we make into a signal that we can apply. They help explain what we are currently sensing. For instance, whether or not you realize it, you are noticing how warm or cold you feel right now. If the temperature drops by 1 degree, you probably won't do anything. If the temperature drops 10 degrees, however, you will feel cold and put on another layer of clothing. Feeling cold was a signal that prompted you to act. You have been sensing the cues the entire time. But it is only when you predict that you would be better off in a different state that you take action. The craving is a sense that something is missing. It is a desire to change your internal state. When the temperature falls, there is a gap between what your body is currently sensing and what it wants to be sensing. This gap between your current state and your desired state provides a reason to act. Desire is the difference between where you are now and where you want to be in the future. Even the tiniest action is tinged with the most motivation to feel differently than you do in a moment. When you binge eat or light up or browse social media, what you really want is not a potato chip or a cigarette or a bunch of likes. What you really want is to feel different. Our feelings and emotions tell us whether to hold steady in our current state or to make a change. They help us decide the best course of action. Neurologists have discovered that when emotions and feelings are impaired, we actually lose the ability to make decisions. We have no signal of what to pursue and what to avoid, as the neuroscientist Antonio Damasio explains. It is emotion that allows you to mark things as good, bad, or indifferent. To summarize, the specific cravings you feel and habits you perform are really an attempt to address your fundamental underlying motives. Whenever a habit successfully addresses a motive, you develop a craving to do it again. In time, you learn to predict that checking social media will help you feel loved, or that watching YouTube will allow you to forget your fears. Habits are attractive when we associate them with positive feelings. and we can use this insight to our advantage rather than to our detriment. How to reprogram your brain to enjoy hard habits. You can make hard habits more attractive if you can learn to associate them with a positive experience. Sometimes all you need is a slight mindset shift. For instance, we often talk about everything you have to do on a given day. You have to wake up early for work. You have to make another sales call for your business. You have to cook dinner for your family. Now imagine changing just one word. You don't have to. You don't have to. You get to. You get to wake up early for work. You get to make another sales call for your business. You get to cook dinner for your family. By simply changing one word, you shift the way you view each event. The transition from seeing these behaviors as burdens and turn them into opportunities. The key point is that both versions of reality are true. You have to do these things, and you also get to do them. We can find evidence for whatever mindset we choose. I once heard a story about a man who used a wheelchair. When asked if it was difficult being confined, he responded, "I'm not, I'm not, oh come on, I'm not confined to my wheelchair. I'm liberated by it. If it wasn't for my wheelchair, I would be bedbound and never be able to leave my house." This is this shift in perspective completely transformed how he lived each day. um, Reframing your habits to highlight the benefits rather than the drawbacks is a fast, lightweight way to reprogram your mind and make a habit seem more attractive. Exercise. Many people associate exercise with being a challenging task that drains energy and wears you down. You can just as easily view it as a way to develop skills and build you up. Instead of telling yourself, "I need to go run in the morning," say, "It's time to build endurance and get fast." Finance. Saving money is often Saving money is often associated with sacrifice. However, you can associate it with freedom rather than limitation if you realize one simple truth. Living below your current means increases your further your future. Living below your current means increases your future means. The money you save this month increases your purchasing power next month. Meditation. Anyone who has tried meditation for more than 3 seconds knows how frustrating it can be when the next distraction inevitably pops into your mind. You can transform frustration into delight when you realize that each interruption gives you a chance to practice returning your breath. Distraction is a good thing because you need distractions to practice meditation. Pre-game jitters. Many people feel anxious before delivering a big presentation or competing in an important event. They quicker, they experience quicker breathing and faster heart rate, heightened arousal. If we interpret these feelings negatively, then we feel threatened and tense up. If we interpret these feelings positively, that we can respond with that we can respond with fluidity and grace. You can reframe "I am nervous" to I'm nervous too, I'm excited, and I'm getting an adrenaline rush to help me concentrate. These little mindset shifts are magic, but they can help change the feelings you associate with a particular habit or situation. If you want to take it a step further, you can create emotion. You can create a motivation ritual. You simply practice associating your habits with something you enjoy. That, then you can use the cue whenever you need a bit of motivation. For instance, if you always play the same song before having sex, then you will begin to link the music with the act. Whenever you want to get in the mood, just Play please. Ed, Let, Ed Letmore, a boxer and writer from Pittsburgh, benefited from a similar strategy without knowing it. Odd realization, he wrote. Odd, real, odd realization, he wrote. My focus and concentration goes up just by putting my headphones on while writing. I don't even have to play any music without realizing it. Real, without realizing it, he was conditioning himself. In the beginning, he put his headphones on, played some music he enjoyed, and did focused work. After doing it after doing it 5, 10, 20 times, putting his headphones on became a cue that you automatically associated with increased focus. The craving followed naturally. Athletes use similar strategies to get themselves in a mindset to perform. During my baseball career, I developed a specific ritual of stretching and throwing before each game. The whole sequence took about 10 minutes, and I did it the same way every single time. While it physically ramped me up to play, more importantly, it put me in the right mental state. I began to associate my pre-game ritual with feeling competitive and focused. Even if I wasn't motivated beforehand, by the time I was done with my ritual, I was in game mode. You can adapt this strategy for nearly any purpose. Say you want to feel happier in general. Find something that makes you truly happy, like petting your dog or taking a bubble bath, and then create a short routine that you perform every time before you do a thing you love. Maybe you take 3 deep breaths and smile. 3 deep breaths, smile, pet the dog, repeat. 3 deep breaths, smile, pet the dog, repeat. Eventually, you will begin to associate this breathe and smile routine with being in a good mood. It becomes a cue that means feeling happy. Once established, you can break it out anytime you need to change your emotional state. Stress at work, you take 3 deep breaths and smile. Sad about life, 3 deep breaths and smile. Once a habit has been built, the cue can prompt a craving, even it is even it has little do even it even if it has little to do with the original situation. The key to finding and fixing the causes of your bad habits is to reframe the associations you have about them. It's not easy, but if you can reprogram your predictions, you can you can transform and you can trans, you can transform a hard habit into an attractive one. Chapter summary. The inversion of the second law of behavior change is make it unattractive. Every behavior has a surface level craving and a deeper underlying motive. Your habits are modern day solutions to transcend the size. The cause of your habits is actually the prediction that precedes them. The prediction leads to a feeling. Highlight the benefits of avoiding a bad habit to make it seem unattractive. Habits are attractive when we associate them with positive feelings, and unattractive when we associate them with negative feelings. Create a motivation ritual by doing something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit. How to create good habits. First, fill out the habit scorecard. Write down your current habits to become aware of them. Use implementation intentions. I will behavior at time and location. Use habit stacking. After current habit, I will new habit. Design your environment. Make the cues of good habits obvious and visible. The second law. Make it attractive. Use temptation bundling. Pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. Join a culture where you decide behavior is the normal behavior. Create a motivation ritual. Do something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit. The third law, make it easy. The fourth law, make it satisfying. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. How to break a bad habit. Inversion of the first law. Make it invisible. Reduce exposure. Remove the cues of your bad habits from your environment. Inversion of the second law. Make it unattractive. Reframe your mindset. Highlight the benefits of avoiding your bad habits. Inversion of the third law. Make it difficult. Inversion of the fourth law. Make it unsatisfying. Make it invisible. Make it unattractive. Make it difficult. Make it unsatisfying. Walk slowly, but never backward. On the first day of class, Jerry Usmore, a professor at the University of Florida, divided his photography students into two groups. Everyone on the left side of the classroom, he explained, would be in the quantity group. They would be graded solely on the amount of work they produced. On the final day of class, he would tally the number of photos submitted by each student. 100 photos would rate an A, 90 photos were a B, 80 photos a C, and so on. Meanwhile, everyone on the right side of the room would be in the quality group. They would be graded only on the excellence of their work. They would only need to produce one photo during the semester. But to get an A, it had to be a nearly perfect image. At the end of the term, he was surprised to find that all the best photos were produced by the quantity group. During the semester, the students were busy taking photos, experimenting with compositions, and lighting, testing out various methods in the darkroom, and learning from their mistakes. In the process of creating hundreds of photos, they honored their skills. Meanwhile, the quality group sat around speculating about perfection. In the end, they had little to show for their efforts other than unverified theories and one mediocre photo. It is easy to get bogged down trying to find the optimal plan for change. The fastest way to lose weight, the best program to build muscle, the perfect idea for a side hustle. We are so focused on figuring out the best approach that we never get around to taking action. As Voltaire once wrote, the best is the enemy of the good. The best is the enemy of the good. I refer to this as the difference between being in motion and taking action. The, the two ideas sound similar, but they are not the same. When you are in motion, you're planning and strategizing and learning. Those are all good things, but they don't produce a result. Action, on the other hand, is a type of behavior that will deliver an outcome. If I outline 20 ideas for articles I want to write, that's motion. If I actually sit down and write an article, that's action. If I search for a better diet plan and read a few books on the topic, that's motion. If I actually eat a healthy meal, that's action. Sometimes motion is useful, but it will never produce an outcome. By itself. It doesn't matter how many times you go to talk to a personal trainer, that motion will never get you in shape. Only the action of working out will get the result you are looking to achieve. If motion doesn't lead to results, why do we do it? Sometimes we do it because we actually need to plan or learn more. But more often than not, we do it because motion allows us to feel like we are making progress without running the risk of failure. Most of us experts at avoiding criticism. It doesn't feel good to fail or to be judged publicly. So we tend to avoid situations where that might happen. And that's the biggest reason why you slip into motion rather than taking action. You want to delay failure. A similar story is told in the book Art and Fear by David Bales and Ted Orland. It has been adapted here with permission. See the endnotes for full explanation. It's easy to be in motion, convince yourself that you are still making progress. You think, I've got conversations going with 4 potential clients right now. This is good. We are moving in the right direction. Or, I brainstormed some ideas for that book I want to write. This is coming together. Motion makes you feel like you're getting things done, but really you're just preparing to get something done. When preparation becomes a form of procrastination, you need to change something. You don't want to merely be planning, you want to be practicing. If you want to master a habit, the key is to start repetition, not perfection. You don't need to map out every feature of a new habit, you just need to practice it. This is the first takeaway of the third law. You just need to get your reps in. How long does it actually take to form a new habit? Habit formation is a process by which a behavior becomes progressively more automatic through repetition. The more you repeat an activity, the more the structure of your brain changes to become efficient at that activity. Neuroscientists call this long-term potentation, which refers to the strengthening of connections between neurons in the brain based on recent patterns of activity. With each repetition, cell-to-cell signaling improves and the neural connections tighten. First described by neuropsychologist Donald Hebb in 1949, this phenomenon is commonly known as Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together were wired together. Repeating a habit leads to clear physical changes in the brain. In musicians, the cerebellum, critical for physical movements like plucking a guitar string or pulling a violin bow, is larger than it is in non-musicians. Mathematicians, meanwhile, have increased gray matter. in the inferior parietal lobe, which plays a key role in computations and calculations. Its size is directly correlated with the amount of time spent in the field. The older and more experienced the mathematicians, the greater the increase in diameter. When scientists analyzed the brains of taxi drivers in London, they found that the hippocampus, a region of the brain involved in spatial memory, was significantly larger in the subjects than in non-taxi drivers. Even more fascinating, the hippocampus decreased in size when the driver retired, like the muscles of the body responding to regular weight training. Particular regions of the brain adapt as they are used and atrophy as they are abandoned. Of course, the importance of repetition in establishing habits was recognized long before neuroscientists began poking around. In 1860, the English philosopher George H. Lewes noted in learning to speak a new language, to play on a musical instrument, or to perform unaccustomed movements, great difficulty is felt, because the channels through which each sensation has to pass have not become established. But no sooner has frequent ha, but no sooner has frequent repetition cut a pathway than this difficulty vanishes. The actions become so automatic that they can perform while the mind is otherwise engaged. Both common sense and scientific evidence agree. Repetition is a form of change. Each time you repeat an action, you are activating a particular neural circuit associated with that habit. This means simply putting in your reps is one of the most critical steps you can take to encoding a new habit. It is why the students who took tons of photos improved their skills, while those who merely theorized about perfect photos did not. One group engaged in active practice, the other in passive learning. One in action, the other in motion. All habits follow a similar trajectory. All habits follow a similar trajectory, from effortful practice to automatic behavior. The process known as automaticity. Automaticity is the ability to form a behavior without thinking about each step, which occurs when the non-consciousness mind takes over. It looks something like this. Automaticity, repetitions, habit line. Figure 11. In the beginning, point A habit requires a good deal of effort and concentration to perform. After a few repetitions, point B, it gets easier, but still requires some conscious attention. With enough practice, point C, the habit becomes more automatic than conscious. Beyond the threshold, the habit line, the behavior can be done more or less without thinking. A new habit has been formed. On the following page, you will see what it looks like when the researchers track the level of automaticity for an actual habit, like walking for 10 minutes each day. The shape of these charts, which scientists call learning curves, reveals an important truth about behavior change. Habits form based on frequency, not time. When 4, 3, 2, 1.